It's that time once again. Thank you for stopping by our little sliver of the internet. Mark the Movie Man here, and it's the final cut. And today we are sinking our teeth into Alice and the Vampire Queen. Okay, that's not how the song goes, but yes, that's the movie title. Alice and the Vampire Queen, brought to us by writer and director Dan Lance, giving us the story of Alice, who is a very skilled and well-educated chef who, due to a series of unfortunate events in her life and a little bit of taking justice into her own hands, she ends up finding herself on parole after getting out of prison and only being able to work in greasy spoons. Well, she is offered a job at an exclusive nightclub where the clientele have very sensitive palates, and she jumps at the chance because it's good money. But then she soon realizes that the folks in the club are actually creatures of the night, and she realizes what that steak tartare she's actually making is made out of. And we see how she weighs the pros and cons of working with the blood suckers and the moral implications as well, and as if she could still do this. And we watch as she gets pulled further and further into their world, she struggles to try to still find a way out. Alice and the Vampire is a wonderfully done independent vampire film that works within its budget, and what it does well. Namely with the vampires. Sometimes these films with this, they try to get too fancy or whatnot, but here, all of the special effects and such that they use for the vampires worked for me, especially the fangs. The fangs in particular, when they come out on our vampires, looked real, looked good, did not look fake at all or anything. And yeah, these are some savage vampires when they want to be. And we do get some blood and gore in here, practical effects, and also some CGI as well. But the CGI, I think, is handled well. And yeah, it all looks really good with a high production value. And the vampires, they don't get too crazy with them either as far as their look goes. And so I appreciated that. They could have easily tried to do more than what they did. And I'm glad they showed some restraint, because I think it actually makes this film more effective. Now, what also is effective is the performances in here. Alice is played wonderfully by Shelby Hightower. I loved how she plays this character, who is a person trying to be on the straight and narrow, but due to the events of her past, she's got a bit of a dark side to her, and she lets that show occasionally. And I loved how she kind of just subtly brings that darker side out of her character, and then it was able to kind of put it back. And the way she moved between those two sides of Alice worked really well and gave this character some depth. And I really was pulling for her. It's because of that performance. Charles, who's played by Graham Wolfe, he's the guy who hires Alice to work for the Vamps. I loved this character as well. This guy was just chill. He really just went along with everything, not really surprised too much by anything that comes up. And yeah, really loved his attitude and the way he was played, and it made for an interesting dynamic between him and Alice. Vampire Queen is played by Brianna Carnuccio, and I thought she did well in here. She drips like Vampire Queen. She just, you just see her and the way she handles herself and everything. You feel like she is a Vampire Queen. You buy into it. Rachel Aspen plays one of the bubbly newer vampires who's a hanger-on, and she puts in a solid performance. Sophia is played by Danielle Mullen, and yeah, she's the one that wishes she was in power. And there's a great scene with Rachel, Danielle, and Shelby at a piano that I probably one of my favorite scenes in this film, with the dialogue and the way it jumps back and forth. Aaron Dalla Villa is playing Kieran, an exiled vampire, and this guy felt like one of the Lost Boys lost his way. He really felt like he was taken from that group and would have fit in with Kiefer Sutherland's vampires from that film, and the way he plays it up. And Xavier Michael playing Frederick, I enjoyed him as well. And again, I wanted to see kind of more in this world that they had. They only have a few locations. The costuming, like I said, nothing gets too fancy. They work within their budget, and they manage to build a vampire world you buy into. and Alice is a character you're really pulling for. So overall, Alice and the Vampire Queen is an effective indie vampire film that is not so much on the special effects, but is enough of a story and character that you run into that I think keeps you interested, and it's not a huge runtime either. So thank you so much for watching. If you have seen Alice and the Vampire Queen, love to hear your thoughts on this. Please check out our Patreon as well. I thank you for your support, and until next time, remember, keep the ticket stub, blah blah.